Level 1, the Macehual. You're standing in the middle of a cornfield, the sun beating down on your neck, but your eyes aren't on the crop. They are fixed on the great temple of Tenochtitlan rising in the distance. You are a Macehual, a commoner. In any other empire, your story would end here, in the dirt. But the Aztec world doesn't care about your father's name. It cares about the vibration of your spirit that you've spent your childhood in the Cuahchic, the school for commoners. They didn't teach you math or poetry, they taught you how to suffer. You've carried heavy logs up mountains until your lungs burned. You've fasted for days in the cold of the night. You've learned that your body is not your own, it is a disposable asset belonging to the sun. The invitation to the shadow doesn't come in a letter. It comes in the form of a flowery war. The drums begin to beat, a low, rhythmic thumping that sounds like the heart of the earth itself. The recruiters walk through the streets, looking for the unbroken. They aren't looking for the strongest, they are looking for the ones with the jaguar eye, the ability to stay calm when the world turns to blood. You are handed your first weapon, a simple wooden club. No obsidian yet. No armor. Just a quilted cotton vest and a promise. You are told that if you die in the field, you will become a hummingbird, a spirit of the sun. But if you live, and if you bring back a contribution, you will begin the transformation. You stand at the edge of the battlefield, looking at the enemy ranks. They are dressed in feathers and gold, screaming insults. Your heart is hammering against your ribs like a trapped bird. You realize that you are at the bottom of a very long, very steep ladder made of stone and obsidian. To take the first step, you have to do something terrifying. You have to walk into the chaos, find a man who wants to kill you, and instead of taking his life, you have to take his freedom. The first rule of the Macehual is simple. Survival is a failure if it comes without a captive. You take a breath, grip your club, and step out of the cornfield. You are no longer a farmer. You are a candidate for the shadow. Level 2. The Tlamanih. The transition from a boy with a club to a warrior of the state happens in a single moment of violence. You are now a Tlamanih, the Captor. You have returned from the flowery war, dragging a high-value asset behind you. You didn't kill him, you dismantled his will. You outmaneuvered him, tripped him, and bound his wrists in rough hemp. Your reward is your first taste of the Empire's tech. You are given a Macehual. It is a heavy paddle of oak, but embedded in its sides are teeth of black obsidian, volcanic glass that is molecularly sharper than any steel blade in Europe. You are taught the precision strike. In the Jaguar Order, a kill is considered a lack of control. You learn to use the obsidian not to decapitate, but to hamstring, slicing through the tendons of an enemy's leg so they can no longer stand, but can still walk to the sacrificial stone. Your physical appearance changes to reflect your new clearance level. Your hair, which previously hung loose, is now pulled up into a tight topknot. This is the Tlamanih knot. It is a visual signal to everyone in Tenochtitlan that you have donated to the sun. You are no longer just a body in the crowd, you are a recognized unit of the military machine. But the pressure increases. To maintain this rank, you cannot settle. You are pushed into the aggressive acquisition phase. You are sent into hard target zones, territories that refuse to pay tribute. Here, the rules of the flowery war are set aside for the total war. You learn to fight in the high-altitude forests and the humid marshes. You learn atmospheric intimidation, using the high-pitched scream of the death whistle to shatter the enemy's morale before you even emerge from the tree line. You are beginning to learn the cost of the sun. You watch the men you captured ascend the steps of the great temple. You see the obsidian knife, the same material as your weapon, perform its final ritual. You realize that your entire society is a life support system for a god that demands constant maintenance. You are the mechanic. You are the one who ensures the fuel keeps flowing. You spend your nights in the barracks, sharpening your blades with a piece of bone, listening to the veterans talk about the pelt. They speak of the Jaguar Knights as if they are ghosts, men who can turn into smoke and reappearing behind an enemy. You look at your topknot in the reflection of a dark water basin. You've taken your first captive. You've tasted the obsidian. But you realize you are still just a man. To become a Jaguar, you have to lose your humanity entirely. Level 3, the Cuahchic. You have reached the threshold of madness. To become a Cuahchic, the Shorn One, you have captured 4 or more high-ranking enemy officers. You have proven that you are a master of the obsidian edge, but now the Empire asks for something more, your sanity. The transformation is physical and permanent. Your head is shaved entirely, leaving only a small, stiff braid behind your ear. You are painted in vibrant, aggressive yellow and blue patterns. You no longer wear the quilted cotton of a soldier, you wear the vow of the dead. You are the Aztec berserker, the shock troop that the generals keep in reserve until the world starts to fall apart. The rule of the Cuahchic is absolute. You are forbidden from taking a single step backward in battle. If your line is pushed, you stand. If your brothers retreat, you stand. If a mountain of enemies collapses onto you, you die where you stood. To retreat is not just a dishonor, it is an error in the code that can only be fixed with your execution. You are a human wall, a tactical anchor designed to hold the fifth sun in place. You are moved into the house of the Shorn Ones, a separate barracks where the air is thick with the scent of blood and tobacco. Here, you are treated like a living ghost. You are given the finest food and the strongest pulque, because everyone knows you are already dead, it just hasn't happened yet. You spend your days in a state of ritualistic frenzy, dancing and chanting until your mind leaves your body. That on the battlefield, you are a psychological terror. You don't use a shield. You carry a heavy Macehual in one hand and a stabbing spear in the other. You run toward the enemy line screaming, your painted face a mask of insanity. You aren't looking for captives anymore, you are looking for systemic collapse. You break the enemy's spirit by showing them a man who doesn't care if he lives. You have become a functional monster. You are the elite suicide squad of the Triple Alliance. You look at the younger warriors, the ones with their neat top knots, and you feel a cold distance. They are still fighting for glory. You are fighting because you have nowhere else to go. You have reached the limit of what a human can endure. To go any higher, you must stop being human. You must become the Predator, level 4, the Ocelotl. You have crossed the final threshold of humanity. You are no longer a soldier, you are an Ocelotl, a Jaguar Knight. To reach this rank, you have demonstrated a level of tactical lethality that borders on the supernatural. You are summoned to the House of the Eagle and Jaguar, a temple fortress where the air is cool and smells of old stone and dried blood. The transition is marked by the inheritance of the pelt. You are presented with the skin of a jaguar, treated and reinforced with internal padding. This is your tactical chassis. When you pull the jaguar head helmet over your brow, your field of vision narrows. You see the world through the snarling jaws of a predator. You are no longer an individual, you are a functional avatar of Tezcatlipoca, the god of the night sky and secret mirrors. Your role shifts from shock combat to elite stealth operations. You are the Empire's deep cover asset. While the Cuahchic screams in the open field, you move through the high grass and the urban shadows in absolute silence. You are trained in asymmetric warfare, infiltrating enemy cities at night to extract high-value targets before their guards even wake. Your footsteps are muffled by the fur of your boots. Your obsidian blades are blackened to prevent them from reflecting the moon. Psychologically, you have entered a state of predatory calm. You spend hours in meditation, visualizing the obsidian mirror of your soul. You learn to control your heart rate and your breath. On the battlefield, you are a ghost. You don't charge, you appear. You strike from the flank, a blur of yellow fur and black glass, and by the time the enemy turns to fight, you have already vanished back into the smoke. You are now a member of the noble military tier. You are granted land, you are allowed to wear jewelry in public, and you sit at the emperor's banquets. But you find that you have nothing to say to the politicians. You feel more at home in the dark, listening to the sounds of the jungle. You realize that the jaguar pelt isn't a costume, it's a replacement for your skin. You have become the shadow of the fifth sun, the silent enforcer of a cosmic order that demands constant, quiet blood. Level 5, the Tlamanih. The days of personal glory and stealth are behind you. At level 5, you are no longer a lone predator, you are the brain of the beast. You have been promoted to Tlamanih, the general of men. You are the supreme tactical commander of a Calpuli, a massive division of 8,000 warriors. Your uniform is no longer just a pelt. It is a towering backpiece of tropical feathers and gold that marks you as a high-altitude asset. In the chaos of battle, you are the lighthouse that the entire army follows. Your role is macro-strategic management. You sit in the Tlamanih, the great arsenal of Tenochtitlan, surrounded by maps made of bark paper and walls lined with thousands of spears. You don't just plan a battle, you engineer a flowery harvest. You coordinate the movements of eagle and jaguar units, deciding which sectors will be hit with psychological terror and which will be crushed by sheer numbers. The burden of this rank is numerical accountability. Every soldier you lead is a precious resource, and every captive you fail to take is a systemic deficit. You realize that the gods are hungry, and the emperor's bureaucracy is even hungrier. You must balance the needs of the ritual with the reality of the terrain. You become a logistical master, ensuring that supply lines of water and salted meat follow your warriors through the scorching deserts and the freezing mountains. Psychologically, you are detached. You view the battlefield as a lattice of probability. 1,000 men dying on your left flank is not a tragedy. It is a calculated sacrifice to open a gap for your Jaguar Knights on the right. You have lost the luxury of anger or fear. You speak in short, clinical commands. You have become the cold architect of the fifth sun, building a wall of bodies to keep the darkness at bay. You are the bridge between the steel of the soldier and the will of the emperor. You carry the Quetzal burden, the knowledge that if your strategy fails, the sun might not rise, and the great city will starve. You sit in the Council of War, a veteran of 100 campaigns, watching the young nobles argue about honor. You don't care about honor. You care about output. You care about the blood that keeps the world turning. Level 6, the Master of Darts. You have ascended to the Tlamanih, the Master of the House of Darts. You have stepped off the battlefield and into the high-security hub of the Aztec Empire. You are now one of the 4 supreme advisors to the Tlamanih, the Emperor. Your office is the arsenal itself, a massive stone vault that holds the kinetic reserves of the state, hundreds of thousands of arrows, spears, and obsidian blades. Your role is global defense architecture. You are the Director of Intelligence. You manage a vast shadow network of Cuahchic, elite merchant spies who travel deep into enemy territory under the guise of trading cocoa and feathers. They return to you with data packages, the thickness of a rival city's walls, the morale of their generals, and the exact timing of their harvest. You process this information, identifying systemic weak points before a single soldier is even mobilized. The weight of level 6 is the logic of the end. You are the one who maintains the ritual inventory. You know exactly how many captives are needed to keep the temples running for the next solar cycle. You view the entire Triple Alliance as a power plant, and your job is to ensure the fuel supply never drops. You are no longer a warrior, you are a systems administrator for a cosmic machine that runs on human life. Psychologically, you are the mirror. You have seen too much to believe in the myths the commoners tell. You understand that the fifth sun is a fragile equilibrium held together by fear and obsidian. You live in a state of strategic paranoia. You watch the emperor's brothers, the high priests, and the tributary kings, looking for the static of rebellion. You are the one who authorizes the Black Ops, sending a single Jaguar Knight into the night to remove a problem before it becomes a war. You are the final gatekeeper of the Jaguar Order. You are the one who decides which Shorn One has the discipline to wear the pelt, and which general is too ambitious to be trusted. You sit in the dark of the arsenal, surrounded by the cold, silent hum of 10,000 obsidian edges, and you realize that you are the most dangerous man in the Empire, not because of your axe, but because you know exactly where the world is broken. Level 7, the Tlamanih Shadow. You have reached the end of the ladder. You are the shadow of the speaker, the ultimate extension of the Emperor's will. At level 7, you are no longer a man, but a cosmic pillar. You have survived the wars, the rituals, and the political poison of the court. Now, you stand on the highest platform of the Great Temple, looking down at Tenochtitlan, the floating fortress, as it glitters like a circuit board of canals and stone in the moonlight. That your role is the final watch. You are the guardian of the fifth sun itself. You are one of the few who understands the terrifying truth. The Empire is not a kingdom, it is a life support system. Your life has been a long process of dehumanization. You have shed your name, your family, and your fear, becoming a cold, obsidian mirror that reflects the needs of the universe. The burden of this rank is historical weight. You carry the memory of every captive you ever took and every brother you ever buried. You are the bridge between the physical world and the invisible web of the gods. When the Emperor speaks, it is your hand that executes the command. When the sun threatens to fail, it is your wisdom that identifies the high-value sacrifice needed to jumpstart the heart of the world. You are the maintenance chief of reality. Psychologically, you are in a state of eternal stillness. You no longer feel the adrenaline of the hunt or the heat of the fire. You move through the palace like a ghost, a presence that everyone feels but no one dares to look at. You have reached the apex of the shadow. You realize that the Jaguar Order was never about personal glory, it was about systemic continuity. You are the one who ensures that tomorrow actually happens. Your story ends in the silence of the night. You watch a young Macehual walk into the city, his eyes wide with hunger for the pelt. You don't warn him. You don't encourage him. You simply watch. You know that the obsidian cycle must continue. The sun requires blood, the empire requires shadows, and the Jaguar Order requires a new soul to take your place at the edge of the world. You close your eyes, and for a brief second, you aren't a soldier or a master. You are just a shadow, blending perfectly into the dark stone of the pyramid.